Hello, dear friends, everyone. And perhaps, some of you have been slipping into your head, thinking about what it would be like to be a different person, or even a different sex. What is it like to experience completely opposite sensations in the body? What are the pros and cons? Guys' interest is usually associated with girls, and girls vice versa, and the logic of things. All these thoughts, questions, and remain in the head. But there are exceptions, like in today's anime, where the guy woke up a completely different person. And how he's going to live we'll learn from a work called My Little Brother Is No Longer My Brother. But before we see the parallel life of my ex-brother, I'd like to ask you to do 3 favors for me by tradition. The first is to like under the video. The second is to subscribe to the channel. And the third is to put a bell. After all, you will learn about new videos on the channel. There was a kid, and there was no kid. This is the phrase that best suits the situation of the protagonist of the story named Mahiro. After all, one wonderful day he discovered that he had lost his manhood at the hands of Mihari's younger sister. Interestingly, a crime against a man is attributed by her sister to her brother's bad behavior. You see, Mahiro didn't like the life of a reclusive brother and a jigen playing games without breaks. Hasn't been out of the house for 2 years. So she wanted to fix it by changing her brother with a potion solution put in the drink. And Dennis Mahiro is no longer a boy. So now he has to live a different life. And on the other hand, it is not much to say, as to be in the body of a girl became a real test of the most difficult level. And it should be understood that self-care, shopping, changing clothes, long dressing is only the starting point of the iceberg of female existence. Not hard to reproduce even by a man. But then the influence of the drug sister will go into my head, and the former boy will begin to go with 2 legs of thought about other guys and different, let's say, plots designed to brighten the life of naughty girls. Anyway, the guy in the Mahiro had all the embarrassment from going to the girls' locker rooms and the old grandma baths. Although little by little this barrier is blurring between the perception of everyday things, Mihari only and enough to spend time with the half-brother brings her great pleasure. The truth is, while one was enjoying the change, the other, the main character, finally felt the next stage of the terrible girl's curse, and the Mahiro's body was attacked by periods that the younger sister had to care for and support an unprepared person for such an unexpected pain in the body. Fortunately, the sickness receded quite quickly and once again went to the toilet, instead of the red days, and the Mahiro saw a pink guest of the Kaida Hozuka, who had come on behalf of Michael, as the younger sister might need to stay late at the university, and Kaida can replace her and keep an eye on the protagonist so he doesn't do anything weird. And the little pink-haired friend had a pretty good eye on Gigi. She also taught makeup and cooked food, in one word, good. But in the evening, to the sadness of her, had to say goodbye. Not for long, and the next day at the mall, where brother and sister wanted to see a new movie with an old plot and great grief, the guys managed to meet again with the Kaida, and in the company of 3 people, much more fun to walk. So the date just started. However, Mahiro is not yet particularly accustomed to women's shopping, and therefore the time that was spent on the walk has flown far beyond the limits of adequate. And the girls almost missed the movie, and miss such a movie would be inexcusable. However, it was even more unforgivable for the Mahiro to come to the cinema without having to go to the toilet beforehand. And since he's a girl now, there's no way he can get out and out of what he wants. Because traffic jams and women's toilets is a ubiquitous phenomenon, and no one is spared, and sometimes be unreal. Unfortunately, this breakthrough happened with the Mahiro in the bathroom. But the Kaida's girlfriend was clever enough to keep a little secret from his younger sister, for which the guy gave her a special thanks and elevated the girl in the eyes of Mihari, who, by the way, got a cold after a day of cinema and by chance is not able to look after his brother. Meanwhile, the Mahiro himself wanted to personally help his sister overcome the disease, caring and cheering her up, so that in the morning she completely recovered. The act of a respected brother. Although it's getting harder to name the main character as a brother. After all, his lifestyle, and all of a sudden, falling in love with a random guy on the street only speaks of his rapid change in mind. And the Mahiro, after some miserable period, began to look at the opposite sex. Fortunately, the boy he met on the street was the opposite of the boy. Or simply put, the girl and sister of the Kaida named Mamaji, just dressing up in more comfortable clothes. And plus the awkward pose from the Mahir, getting close to her at a critical distance, which means we're definitely not saying goodbye to her after she leaves the house tonight. Because after a couple of free days from partying, Japan came Halloween on the Mahar strongly proposed to create an image for the holiday in which the brother can meet with the family of Hazuki. And the image for the Mahir was chosen incredibly cute. Only none of the other girls changed. So it looks like the whole plan just came up with a Mihari for a funny cosplay. It is good that the Mamaji immediately stood on the side of the protagonist and dressed her friend in ordinary clothes, while asking the guest about the female body and all practices for the better growth of different parts. Yes also asked that the rapprochement of the question came too close to a delicate topic, which was also instantly interrupted at the most interesting place by knock on the door. And on the day after Halloween, the development of the Mahir's life began to grow even faster, as Gi have to meet new school friends. And the names of the Asashi's new friends and the Mio brought them Momonji, to get first acquainted with the cuties, and then to go together to school, where according to the legend from Mihari, the main character transferred after a long break and where the Mahira will survive. And for a person in the past, a social abrupt immersion in an environment with people can cause a lot of stress. But good acquaintance with Sasha, her, and Momiji saves the situation, as it is much easier to live with friends in school. They support conversations and have their back from hard work, generally creating a family environment. In any case, the main character believed so until he realized that he wanted to move on to games, and his girly company does not play, so Mahira accidentally overheard the conversation of the boys of the class, instantly joined them in a party from the boys were embarrassed, but they took the girl into the circle. So the conclusion from such an example can be made only one. The more a person has different people to talk from different genders, the easier it is to find common themes for chatting. Although it sounds logical, but many still prevented the barrier between girls and boys, which is certainly sad. However, for special craftsmen for fun enough can and a small number of participants. And the example of the girls overnight in the house of the Mahir. It would seem that guys will do all the time. They will get bored sooner or later, but no. A variety of entertainment, from the same familiarity with games, swimming together, food, and war in the pillow very cheerfully eat up the endurance of schoolchildren. So the night had already come, and every second had been wasted with the benefit and reward of smiling to all the friends. At the same time, it should be understood that all the action took place on the eve of the new year. On the street gradually becomes cold, and people are trying in a hurry to prepare all sorts of gifts for the loved ones. But naturally, the best gift possible for friends will always be the time spent together. First on the street with everyone and later at home alone with my little sister, who, with all his heart, gives his brother a scarf for the beginning of next year and 500 rubles in addition. It is just a good chance to spend them, because the day after the holiday there is a kimono festival, where again in the circle of Kazuki sisters, Asahi Smiyum purchased treats at home to fill bellies with food with positive wishes for the coming year and a little drink for health, though you could have missed the last one. Some people have a lot of fun. Moreover, it is still too early to go into all the heavy things, as it is the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and the Mahira was gifted from the very morning with chocolate to sell those in the school, so that everyone, from girls to poor lonely boys, who had seen the maximum of socks as a gift, got a treat from the protagonist, which caused incredible joy, in particular by the guys and girlfriends of the Mahir. She, by the way, has over her shoulders another reason to please friends and not. This is not about another world holiday, not at all. It's about a much more delicate question called birthday. So it happened that the Mahira completely forgot the day when was born, which all of his friends were shocked by the sudden announcement. And although no one but the younger sister could prepare gifts for the main character, the mommies and friends immediately corrected the situation and the next morning prepared a surprise with cake and royal courtship for the birthday girl. And to finish the weekend even better, the group of girls, as soon as the birthday was celebrated, the whole group gathered to join one of the most beautiful ways of the world vacation and went friends to the hot springs, when there are blizzards with tons of snow. But before you dive into the hot water, the Mahira need to step over the last drops of embarrassment in front of the girls and clean go into the water to their friends. However, the song was played for a short time, and after a couple of water entertainment, the protagonist found at his bottom the rudiment of a little friend who appeared without demand in the middle of the spring, with girls inside. It was difficult to convey how much the Mahira had panicked at the time. However, when she came to her sister for help, she offered two options. The first is to return to the body of a guy and either try to change your man life or remain a hick without friends. The second option is to drink the sex-changing potion again, to be in the girl's body for a while longer with friends and new adventures. And the answer is basically no. After all, when choosing the first option, with a male beginning, the Mahira has every chance to lose the pleasure that he has gained during the time spent in the body of a nice girl. Although, to tell you the truth, I don't have a choice because of my little sister, clearly creating that a brother wouldn't want to be a boyfriend if he had the luxury of a girl's life. And whether this is a good act is a rhetorical question. Everyone should determine his own life. But specifically in the situation of the Mahiro, the former boy decided to continue to exist in a woman's body. And how his life will continue, we will already know in continuation, the end of the first season. Well, and a couple of words for the last. My little brother is no longer a little brother is a disappointment to me, and I'll explain why. At the beginning of the viewing, I was really interested to follow the changes of the main character. I liked the way they passed on the pros and cons of girls' lives. In the anime, comparisons were made at the start. Characters were put in a curious situation. In fact, everything looked like an experiment, yes, without the brother's consent. But let's be honest, if he was in the body of a girl for 2 days or 3 at the most, then it would hardly be wasting his energy on malice. However, it was precisely because of the long-term fact of being in the body of a different sex and the reconfiguration of experiments that the daily anime made me sad. After all, at the end of the work, when choosing to return to a boyish state or remain a girl, there was no choice as such. Once again, everyone told the protagonist to stay put, and that's not nice. This is completely wrong, as the boy is believed to have been imprisoned for the deception of his younger sister. Like, what does she suddenly decide how to live his brother's life? Even if that hiccup hasn't been on the street for 2 years, it doesn't give her any right to change his life. It's nonsense and restriction of freedoms. For this reason, I am not going to give an estimate of anime yet. I gave a better estimate, but I will not tell you. It is better to first read the comments, see how you react, and may change your opinion a little based on your reasoning in the comments. Well, I'm out of authority for the day. My story is over, and if you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video.